I'd like to introduce to you two members of the Impaired Vision and Hearing Club.
Hi, I'm Don Craig. I'm part of the blind community here in Leisure World. I've got an eye disease called Stargardt's, which is a form of macular degeneration. Probably a lot of you have heard of that or may be suffering from that as well. I've had that disease for about 40 to 45 years. It's made me legally blind, which I know a lot of people don't understand. Essentially what that means is my vision is somewhere in the neighborhood of 21,000 as opposed to being 20/20, which is normal vision. So it makes things rather difficult, and we're here today to talk about a few of those things. This is Sharon Cohen.
Hi, I'm Sharon, and I too am legally blind. I have macular degeneration. They found it at age 43, which is quite young. I didn't get into trouble till I was about 55 or 60. And now I can see far away things, but nothing close up. Cannot see faces, cannot read, that kind of stuff. So we're going to help other people out of the things that we've learned that help us.
Don, Sharon, can you tell us a little bit about the club?
I can tell you that once a month on the fourth Tuesday, we have what we call a general meeting. I'm responsible to get speakers at each of those meetings. And we've had a good variety of speakers of different sorts. One was balance and stability. Sometimes we have a physical therapist come, an eye doctor, a hearing audiologist, and about an hour meeting once a month, and we just had one last week, and it's really very good. We have a good group of people, both hearing impaired and visually impaired.
Sharon, I'm sorry, Don, go ahead.
We also have two smaller meetings that we call support group meetings, one for our hearing impaired and one for our visually impaired groups. And those groups tend to run between 10 and 20 people, and those are much smaller, intimate sessions where we can sit and talk about some of the problems that we have and the things that we use to help us get through the day. In our hearing group, we've been able to use closed captioning, if you will, to help those hard of hearing see on a big screen TV, so that's definitely improved our meetings for the hearing impaired.
Sharon, is there anything else that you want to share with us about how important coming to a meeting is?
I think the support groups are very important. It's just a matter of talking to somebody that's already been there and done that. I go back a long time ago, a girl came in just crying, a lady came in just crying, because she had just had to give up her driver's license. Well, we all that were sitting there knew what that was. It was terrible, but we got her through it. Do you remember?
Not that
Linda?
particular one.
Linda?
Mm-hmm.
Can you tell me a story or two about what people have said to you after they've left the meeting, how they felt?
I can tell you one that just happened last week.
Please do.
A lady came in who was at a young age, got rubella, lost all of her hearing, and as she was leaving, she said to the group, "It's so nice to be with people that have the same disability I do, and they understand."
It's a huge benefit as well too, because I've been partially sighted for almost 40 years, and I'm sadly going towards being completely unsighted. And it's nice to talk to the people who are in there that are completely unsighted and to hear their stories and to know those people and see what they still can do being completely unsighted.
We have two people that come from outside that are both what we call totally blind. Both of them have had guide dogs from Guide Dogs for the Blind, and that's been interesting to hear how they train them and what they do and how the dogs help these people. It's been very good.
Thank you so much. I'm really excited about what we're going to do next. And I'm going to turn the program over to Wild Bill, and we'll be right back.
Hi, we're in the kitchen with Don, and Don, I'll let you take it away.
Thanks, Wild Billy. Being blind or being partially sighted and living alone obviously creates some challenges, and the kitchen is no exception for that. I'm going to show you a couple things that I use in my kitchen, because I do all my cooking obviously, to help out a little bit, to keep my fingers where they're supposed to be and so on. I always use a knife block because anytime I go to grab it, I know where the knife is, I know where the knife's going to go back. So I always use a knife block. I also put my knives in, I'm right-handed, I always put my knives in facing to the right. So every time I grab them, whatever knife I'm grabbing, it's already in my hand the way I'm supposed to use it. And then when I go to put it back, I don't even have to look. Well, I did actually. See, there, I'm lying. It goes back in the way it's supposed to be. I also use what they call a bakery scraper. This is nice anytime after you do your chopping, when you go to scoop things up, instead of using a knife to scrape up the things that you've just chopped and taking a chance of cutting your hand, I like to use this because it won't cut me, so I can pick up whatever I'm doing chopping wise, and it snaps right on the back of my knife block. Another thing that I use as well too, this is a knife glove. I use it on my non-cutting hand, and all it really does is help. It's not completely knife proof, you can cut through it, but at the same time it helps for any nicks that you might get on your fingers or so on. So this is just an added piece of security when you can't see to begin with. It helps it just to kind of keep your fingers where they're supposed to be as well. That's my little tip.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Hi, we're with Sharon now in the kitchen, and she's going to give us some helpful hints that help her through the day.
The first thing I'd like to show you is next to my sink, I keep a buffet tray. I'm going to move it over here. So when I chop or salt my dinner or pour a cup of coffee, if I spill, it stays within here. So I don't have cleanup trying to find all the little pieces of salt and pepper all over the counter. Which brings me to a coffee cup. If you drink coffee, get a white cup so that you can see when you're pouring how high up it is. If you drink milk, get a dark cup. I purchased these knives a while back, and they're different colors. I can see them. This is a bread knife, and it comes with a cover. So they can sit in the drawer and I don't have to worry about cutting myself. And they're colored. For me, the colors work well. And my other little hint is acrylic glasses. It's very hard when you break something that's clear glass for a visually impaired person to find the pieces on the floor or wherever it happens to be. So I purchased acrylic glasses at Costco. I don't know what else to tell you, Bonnie.
So, Sharon,
Oh, Sharon.
this is very exciting. I know that you have some more things you're going to show us. So we're going to wrap this one, and everyone's going to be coming back again for another part.
Okay.
Hi, we're in the kitchen with Don and Sharon, and a very interesting discussion about bump dots.
So another tool that those of us that don't see well use are things called bump dots, and they are literally just little bumps with a sticky adhesive on the back. And anything that we need to be able to find easily, whether it be a dial, a knob, a button, we can put these on them. Instead of trying to then find the word, we can just put those on the button that we need. Sharon, how do you use them on your microwave?
I have a bump dot on the timer, so when I put something in for 15 seconds, I hit the timer for 15. And I have one down here on the light over the oven, over the stove. And I use them in other places, washing machine, anywhere where it helps you to locate what you use the most.
So something like on an oven here, wherever the buttons are that we want to turn it on and off, you just simply stick a bump dot over it, and then that there, you never have to look for it. You just find the raised bump, push the button, and you're good to go.
And they come round, and they come square, and they come in colors, and they come very, very tiny, and they come very large like that one.
Can you hold it up a little higher? Great. What is that, Sharon?
This is my keyboard for my computer. It's wireless. And I use the bump dots on the 2 home keys. And the key I use the most, the backspace, to erase what I've written. And it's really, really helpful. I cannot see the letters on the keyboard, but I've been a typist for many years, so I don't need to see the letters on the keys.
So you...
It's very helpful.
What about on the screen? Can you see what's on the screen?
No, I use a very strong 15-time magnifier. There are lots of different kinds and strengths of magnifiers. Remember that the larger it is, the weaker it is. Most people don't know that. That's why mine is so small. It also has a light on the back. Don, you use another kind, don't you? Not like this?
I use glasses that are magnified.
Magnified glasses. Do you have them?
Of course. Go anywhere without them.
Okay, well, thank you so much for this part. And stay with us. We'll be back soon.
Hi, welcome back to Let's Talk with Bonnie Z. And we're with Sharon, and she's going to give us some more helpful hints.
After I read them on my list.
Sharon, what are you doing? What are you using?
I'm using a magnifying glass that's gauged to my vision. My vision is a little bit worse than 2200, and it cannot be repaired with glasses or upgraded with glasses. So in order for me to read, I have to do this. And then I can read what I'm doing. By the way, do you know there are magnified mirrors up to 30 times for women to do your eyebrows? They're wonderful.
That
Except
sounds
you can-
exciting.
Oh, it's not exciting when you see all the wrinkles. That becomes unexciting.
Oh, okay.
This is a 2020 pen, or now called a Bold Writer. It's wide-tipped. You can't sign a check with it, but it doesn't bleed through the paper. So if I'm going to write Bonnie's name, that's what it would look like. So I make my grocery list with I call it my big fat black pen. And then I can read it when I go to the store, hopefully. Another helpful hint is remote control, dark. Don't put it on your leather sofa. Get a towel. Always lay your remote control down on something light or white. Even a piece of paper will do, like so. Yeah?
Oh, he's just looking at what you're doing.
Very interesting.
This is from Spectrum, large numbers.
Is that a special request?
Just ask for it.
Oh, okay.
I don't know. I still can't see it. I know where they are by feel, however. And another nice thing is in the shower, if you buy the same brand of shampoo as conditioner, frequently they'll be in the same bottle, same kind of a bottle. Decide which one you want to do and put a rubber band around the shampoo or a rubber band around the conditioner. Even people that wear glasses, they can't wear them in the shower. So it's good for people that are not visually impaired either.
I remember in conversation we talked about where do you put your knife when you're working at the sink.
I forgot.
Oh, Billy, this is so interesting.
When you're, let's see.
Billy, can you move to the right a little bit?
Yeah.
Back up? There we go.
I'm standing here and I'm cutting my carrots and whatever, and I want to put the knife down because I'm going to go to get the potatoes out to cut the potatoes. Instead of laying your knife on the counter, so you don't do that, you take your knife and you put it behind the faucet.
Very good.
And then when you're ready to use it again, you're ready to use it. but it saves you ever putting your hand down on a sharp knife.
Thank you, Sharon. Thank
Yes,
you
ma'am.
so much for sharing these things.
You're welcome.
I hope soon we have some more things to share.
Yeah,
Well, Billy, thank
Well,
you.
thank you for being here with Let's Talk with Bonnie Z, and look forward to doing the next one. Take it away, Bonnie. Hi, I'm with Don, and Bonnie, she has a question about cell phones. Bonnie?
Don, can you tell us a little about technology? I know that you use it quite a bit.
Sure. With the advent of smartphones, it's been wonderful, especially for the handicapped community. So many things happen on a smartphone that we couldn't do before, and it also encompasses many different tools all in one space. So the phone itself, on mine, I have an Android. If I want to make something bigger on my phone, I can triple tap it, and it blows the phone up big enough that I can read it either with magnification or without. You can do the same thing on an iPhone. I also use a magnifier, so instead of carrying a magnifier with me or buying a digital magnifier, I use an app that's a magnifier app. I click on that app, it opens up a magnifier, and I can read extremely small print through that. I can also use it for distance as well. There's also settings on here where I can have it do voice commands for me, or I can do voice texting, or sending a text or reading a text. Either one I can do through the voice commands. On an Android, it's Hey Bixby, as opposed to on an iPhone, it's Hey Siri. Essentially the same tools.
I just got a new cell phone the other day, and Hey Bixby keeps coming up, and I'm like, I have no idea what it is.
Mine just came up when you said Hey Bixby.
So I have no idea what it is.
It's a voice command that allows you to open apps. Bixby was just talking to you. It's a voice command that opens up different apps or can do different things for you. It can do controls, it can do texting, it can do reading texting, it can find directions for you and so on. Just a voice command function.
Very interesting.
And if you know what, that's how I call people. Call Bonnie Cooper.
Oh.
So on yours being an Android,
Mhm.
instead of saying, I'm sure you've heard people saying Hey Siri on an iPhone,
Mm-hmm.
you say Hey Bixby, call Sharon, which don't call Sharon, because it'll probably call my cousin.
Contacts like that. Sharon Vision.
The bad part of that is if you have a home number and a cell number in it, I don't know, I get lost in that kind of stuff.
You ask it to tell, you put a specific, instead of saying like I've got two phone numbers for you in mine, your home phone and your
Cell.
non-home phone.
Yeah.
So I have you listed, I believe, as Sharon Vision for your cell phone. I think it says Sharon Vision Cell. So if you ask it to call that, it'll specifically
Okay.
call that.
Okay.
So, welcome to another part of our project. Don, I'd like to know a little bit about you. When did you find out that your vision was going?
I lost my vision in my early 20s, and I had decided to go back in school. At the time, I was a refrigeration mechanic, and I decided to go back to school. I wanted to change careers. So when I first went back to college in around 23, 24, I found out that I was losing my vision due to macular degeneration or Stargardt's, essentially the same thing. So I contacted the school. I was able to get into disabled students. They were able to help me with a lot of my classwork and some other things along that line. And I was able to do all of my education. At the time, I wasn't able to drive. I had given up my driver's license. I got to school by riding a bicycle or taking the bus. Made it through school, got my teaching credential. I was eventually actually able to drive again for a while. But I did all of that under disabled students and while I had full macular degeneration in both eyes. Very easy accomplishment, if you will, on my side of it. A lot of hard work, but it was very doable. Easy probably wasn't the right word, but very doable. I then went on to teach for 25 years. I had to give it up recently, about in the last 7 years, because my vision declined too much.
Don, what did you teach?
I was an elementary school teacher. I taught everything from kindergarten through 6th grade.
And how did the students in your classroom respond to you?
Really well. It actually was a really good icebreaker, if you will, or a lowerer, is that a word? Lowerer of anxiety. One of the things that we try to do in elementary schools is give kids a free, homey place that they can talk and express themselves without a lot of stress. It's called an affective filter, or lowering of an affective filter. And by telling the kids my story and telling them that I had a disability, it really helped them not worry about anything that they may or may not have in their life. So I would always, the first day of school, I would sit them down, I would show them the magnifying glasses that I used, I would have them help me with things, tell me where things were, and so on. And it really helped to bring them in to where they weren't afraid to tell me any issues they might have.
So Don, basically your students in your room treated you just like any other teacher.
Absolutely, absolutely. Some of them were surprised when I knew who they were, because I couldn't see them across the room, and they kind of wondered how I was able to call them out when they weren't quite behaving the way they were supposed to. But I got pretty good at knowing voices, and I always paid attention to what clothing they were wearing. It was really difficult when I worked in a school that had uniforms and all the kids wore the same clothes. But in schools where they wore different clothes, when they first came in the morning, I would pay attention to what they wore, and then I could see by their body types or by the clothing that they wore, their hairstyles, ways that I could recognize them.
Did you have, Don, a aide that helped you through the day, or did the school make any special accommodations for you?
No, I did have aides, but they weren't for me, they were just for the kids. So no, I didn't have any special accommodations at all.
Very interesting. And Sharon, tell us about you.
I don't have anything as good to say as Don did, that's for sure. I started on the journey in my 40s. I was already working. I was a medical transcriber, which I did at home, and mothering my children. And at 49, got a job with then McDonnell Douglas as a buyer. And I was assigned to buy and repair parts that are repairable. You can't repair everything on a plane, but there are certain gadgets and widgets that you can repair. And that's what I did. And I would visit the vendors. And when it became difficult for me to drive on the freeway to visit the vendors, I knew it was time. And I retired at, I think I was 60 when I retired on disability.
And living where you're living, how do you find getting around? Difficult?
Easy.
Easy.
Easy, easy. No curbs.
Mm-hmm.
Internal bus system. There are outside car retrievals and
Can you mention one of them to me?
outside Abrazar.
Mm-hmm.
Abrazar is good for any senior, I think over 60,
Mm-hmm.
and no qualifying money-wise. We just had him speak at our general meeting the other day.
Mm-hmm.
Excellent, excellent.
And what are your
Company.
general meetings?
The 4th Tuesday of every month,
Mhm.
except during the summer.
Okay, that's great. I appreciate both of you sharing all these details with us. If anyone is interested in finding out more about what we're talking about, they could call Bonnie, or rather they could text or email Bonnie Z. Let me start that again. Boom, 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 boom. Okay.
You know, I think something that needs to be said is, just because you're losing your vision doesn't mean you're losing the being alive.
Mhm.
I don't know how to say that, but
Just like you said it.
Say it again. Say it again.
just because your vision is diminishing doesn't mean that you have to diminish with it. There's still life after vision loss.
Sharon, that is so beautiful.
And one thing that we definitely need to do is take the responsibility for ourselves to be out there, do the things that help us. The little tips that we showed you, or that we've been showing you, make our life easier, either in the kitchen, outside of the kitchen, around town, all of those things, so we're able to still be out and doing things. But you have to take that time for yourself to learn what works for you, to get you out of the house and doing things.
Could it be that sometimes you find people, when they hear or know of your visual impairment, they try to be too helpful to you?
Absolutely. We still need to be independent. It's very important to still be independent. When people offer me a ride, quite often I turn it down because it feels good to me to get to someplace on my own. Whether that be taking a bus, walking, finding another way to get there. It's important to be independent, and people always want to help, but at the same time we need to be independent as well.
Do you have any suggestion for the spouse, the companion, how they can deal with this?
I think there's a couple things that need to be said about that. Number one is, if you're just starting on this journey that we've been on, learn what you can learn while you're still have pretty good sight. And don't rely on the person you live with to do those things that you really can do yourself.
And we have to be understanding as the person with the disabilities, people have really good intentions, but it's not what their life is about, and it's hard for them to understand. They could have completely good intentions, but they forget. People in your family will tell you all the time, well, look over here, look over there. And they know that you can't. We do that to each other. So it's a big thing for us to be understanding of the people without the disabilities. They want to help, they just don't know how. So we have to be understanding. We need to ask. We need to ask for what we need, but at the same time, we need to make sure that we don't demand what we need, because other people are trying, and it doesn't always work out the way we want it to.
It's always funny to me where somebody will, hey, I'm over here, and they'll wave their hand. Well, we can't see it. I mean, I have a cute story to tell you. I had a girlfriend that used to live here, and she'd always take me to Ralph's to grocery shop. And she knew when she would pick me up, she'd wear something pretty colorful or a stripe or something, so I could recognize her in the store. And so one day she came to pick me up, and she had on a red t-shirt. And I said, oh, that's so great, I'll be able to find you somewhere, right? Walked into Ralph's, and that day, all the Ralph's employees were wearing red t-shirts.
That's so funny.
I know. We laughed about it for many years after that.
Oh, that's so funny.
For me, I forget when I go with somebody, oh my God, I forgot what color she had on this morning. I didn't pay attention.
Well, what brought me to this journey is I had a mini stroke a while ago, and I'm fine now. And then I had an issue with my eyes, and my eyes went totally dark. Very scary. And this was in, I don't know if one thing had anything to do with another. It could have been an eye infection. Of course, I panicked and so forth. But for those couple of days that my eyes went dark, it was a great, very deep gray tone or whatever. I thought of you. I thought of the both of you and how you're dealing with all of this. And thank God for me, mine cured, or my eyes became fine again. And I realized that I personally needed to help, to do what I can do, because I love video, I love interacting with people, and it's very important for me to take this platform to help share with other people what they can do before they do lose eyesight. And that's what you were just talking about. Because at some point in our life, as we do get older, something could happen.
Don't know.
So let's prepare. Let's really prepare.
Before you really need it.
Mm-hmm. Thank you both again for being with us. This is Bonnie Z. Let's talk with Bonnie Z. If you want to contact me, please email me at bonniez562@yahoo.com. Would you like to say something?
I think that both of you have shown that being visually impaired is not being helpless, but you took what you have and you made a life.
Thank you very much. Hello, I'm Bonnie Z, and thank you for joining us today. What you're watching is a program created by Let's Talk by Bonnie Z. Please enjoy. If you need to contact me at bonniez562@yahoo.com. Thank you.